Shalom family. The name of this video is going to be called Agree with Your Adversary Quickly. Okay, that's a scripture in the Bible for those of you who don't know. This video is inspired by two videos that were sent to me by another YouTuber who is a subscriber to my channel. And in this, the message that they sent, they said that the two women were pretty much giving up. They said a lot of our sisters are starting to give up. And as I listened to both of the videos, one of them was more like, okay, I'm finished with all this stuff. This is what I'm going to do. I think it was the Black Woman Think Tank or something like that. I don't know if that's the title of the video. I don't have it up on my screen right now or in front of me. But it was basically, look, I'm putting all this other garbage behind me type stuff. And, okay, whatever you say, men, whatever you say. It was kind of like one of those. And the other sister, same thing. It was basically just pretty much giving up, okay? There's this war that's going on between the so-called black man and woman that no one can deny. I've been seeing a number of videos where even so-called Gentile men and women are standing up and saying, look, what is wrong with you black men? Why are you coming against your women so hard and heavy, okay? Now, many of them feel justified in it. Like I said in a previous video, that some of our brothers are dealing with demonic influences. They would never admit it, of course, but that is the case. When you come so hard and heavy and so vicious and violent against women for some of the most petty things imaginable, and you don't make any separation, then there is a demonic influence. There is some vexing and some witchcraft that has taken place that's causing these brothers to behave in this way. Okay, now when I say agree with your adversaries quickly, I'm going to kind of just weigh in on what some of the sisters were saying, the two sisters were saying, and just come from a different perspective. Now, the thing is this. I've heard a number of videos, and then even in the comment section on some of my videos where brothers, because you know brothers are always coming saying something. Brothers always got something to say on any sister's video. You can go to any so-called black woman's video where she's talking about any issue, and there you will find in the comment section black men who are popping off on these women like they just want to kill them almost, some of them, you know. I talked about in one video where a brother was actually saying that the Most High is going to kill all of us black so-and-sos. You know, just completely violent and vicious and angry. That's a spirit that's causing these brothers to be so angry. And some of the accusations that we see are things such as black women are responsible for 90% of the crime in the black community. I see things saying that black women are going after white men and abandoning the black family and doing all this, that, and the other. That black women are just trash and whores and all kinds of things, right? Now, no one is saying that there is no dysfunction amongst black women. But when you look at every black woman, you cannot paint all of us with one brush, right? All of these brothers are saying these things, and a lot of sisters are taking this stuff to heart. But there are some good black women out here, and there are a lot of good black women out here. There are some women who would give you the clothes off of their back. There are some women who will give you the last drop of food that she has. And there are some women who will take you in and do all these things that you want done. Okay? But I'm thinking now that since the men have all these complaints and they want to say that the black woman is the reason for the downfall in the black community, and that the men share no blame or responsibility whatsoever, that 90% of it falls on the so-called black woman. Since the men want to say that, I say to women this: get yourselves together, okay? Mirroring what one of the sisters said, that we need to get ourselves together. Don't worry about all this rhetoric that's coming from our so-called black men. And get this, it's not coming from every black man. But the problem is the hatred that is spewing. That is what's highlighted. And so you have men of other nations rebuking our men. You see, they are rebuking our men, saying, how dare you put all the blame on your women and you're not taking responsibility for your own communities. When I look in the so-called black community and I see the people that are breaking in houses, I guarantee you, I'm not saying that women don't do it, but I guarantee you the majority of the people who are breaking in houses in the so-called black community are black men. I can guarantee you that black women ain't out here raping black men. Okay? Now, like I said, it's not to say that it has never happened. I'm talking about in mass, okay? In mass, who is the one performing all the rapes in the so-called black community? Who is doing all the drive-bys and the carjackings? Is it the so-called black woman that's going through the black community carjacking people? Is it the so-called black woman that's doing the carjackings and the drive-by shootings and the break-ins and the armed robberies? Again, not saying that it don't happen, because I already know some brothers are going to say, well, what about the young girl who robbed somebody at the gas station in Detroit? I'm not talking about the rare instances. I'm talking about the rhetoric where men are claiming that black women are responsible for 90% of the crime. Okay? Now, if we were to start to say things like, okay, brothers, yes, we are responsible for 90% of the crime. Yes, we are responsible for all the drive-bys and the rapes and all this other stuff. And what we're going to do in exchange or to counter all of that is we're going to get ourselves together. If the black woman gets herself together, what will your excuse be then? What will the excuses be then when the black woman does get herself together? Because contrary to popular belief, there's only a small population of black women who are doing a lot of the things that black women are being accused for. You see? And the reason why I say that, you can't take a ratchet bunch of women and define every last one of us by that group of women. You cannot do that. Because if you do that, then women, what if women started to say that all men were ABC? It wouldn't be fair. And guess what? We don't do that. Black women don't say that all black men are rapists or that all black men are robbers and abusers, because we know that's not the truth. We know that all of our brothers are not like that, because there are some very good brothers out here. But unfortunately, the ones that are taking center stage are the ones who hate black women. And our daughters are being affected by this. I have an older daughter who's already grown and out on her own. And she called me up one day and she said, Mommy, why are black men showing so much hatred and animosity for black women? I just don't understand it. And all I could do is just have a conversation with her about it. Of course, I got to bring the truth into it, which is there's a demonic infiltration of the minds of some of our men. Whether they want to own it or not, that is what's going on. A lot of our men don't know it, don't realize it, but many have been influenced or possessed by demons, which causes them to lash out in such a way. Okay? And in agreeing with our adversaries, we're going to say, okay, we will take all of the blame. If you want to say that it's our fault, everything is our fault, the way our communities have gone down is all our fault. Okay, now we're going to pray. Our solution is that we're going to pray, we're going to get ourselves together. So then you won't have any excuses after that. After we get ourselves together, the only thing left for you to do is to get yourself together. Because if you don't get yourself together after the women get themselves together, then you're just completely exposed as a fraud. Unfortunately, people already know that. This is why you're getting rebukes from people of other nations. You're getting rebukes from the white man. There's a video where a Latino man rebuked black men. A so-called white woman was rebuking black men. And I'm sure there are tons more that maybe I haven't even seen yet. But when it gets to the point where people who used to oppress us, okay, let me fix that. Okay, when it gets to the point where people who are known oppressors to our people are rebuking you as the so-called black man for oppressing your women, that's bad. That's a bad place to be in when you have people on the outside telling you what you need to be doing on the inside. It's time for our men to step up and be leaders. But until that happens, we as the daughters of Zion must get ourselves together. We can't keep looking at our men and saying, get yourself together. Because if they refuse to do it, we're going to have to do what we have to do. And the only thing that we can do is get ourselves together. Because our children need somebody. They need somebody to have a level head, you see. And unfortunately, many times the woman has to step into that position. You have to have the woman who's going to play both roles. And unfortunately, you have brothers who are out here spewing this rhetoric, saying that black women are saying they want to be on their own and all this, that, and the other, and they want to raise their kids on their own. I don't need a man. Listen, what I've heard coming up is I can do bad by myself. That's what I hear women saying. Now, I'm not saying that there's no woman who's saying I don't need a man. But in mass, that is not true. Most women want a man. They want someone to be there to help them raise their children. And when you do, usually when you hear a woman say that, she's saying, look, I'm tired of being mistreated. I'm tired of being abused. I'm tired of being lied to. I don't need that. That's what a woman is saying she don't need. Most women are saying they don't need that. They're not saying they don't need a man. Because most women do want a man. They do want companionship. They do want to be loved. They do want to be cherished, you see. But when you have a man who doesn't want to give that, and all he wants to do is knock you around, abuse you verbally and physically, and treat you like trash, that's when they say, look, I'm finished with this. There was a comment made by a sister, and I totally understood where she was coming from. But again, a lot of brothers took that and ran with it. They took it and ran with it because they don't want to see their part in this. That's a sign of a reprobate mind, you see. But there was a sister who made a comment, and she said this. She said, I would rather be a white man's whore than to be the scum on the bottom of a black man's shoe. That's the statement that this sister made. Now, of course, you know, I believe what the scripture says about us being with other nations. I believe that, and I agree with it because that's what the word says, and this is what the Most High mandates, right? But at the same time, I understand. I'm simply saying that I understand this woman saying this because she's saying this man is not treating me like trash, okay? But this man over here is treating me like the scum on the bottom of his shoe. You see, I saw a video where this sister, she was really dark skinned and she had her natural hair. And she was just, you know, an average looking black woman, right? And she was married to a white man. And I looked at this sister and I said, based on the fact that our sister is dark skinned, in which I think dark skin is absolutely beautiful, and the fact that she's wearing her natural hair, and she had full lips and all of this, a lot of our brothers look at that. I've seen brothers who look at sisters like that and they make these snide, crazy, ignorant comments about our dark-skinned sisters who may have natural hair and full lips, and they make these degrading comments. But over here you have this so-called white man who adores this sister's look, who thinks she's beautiful, who married her and all of this, and it almost makes you say, well, what is a woman supposed to do? Again, I have to say this. I understand what the scripture says and what the Most High mandates about interracial marriage, okay? I'm just basically trying to make a point that our brothers are literally forcing our sisters out the door. You are forcing them out the door when you make these comments about them who want to embrace their natural look. They don't want to look like Becky. They want to look like themselves. But you're saying, I don't like that. I don't like your natural hair. I don't like your dark skin. I think dark skin is ugly. You see what's going on? Our men are forcing the daughters of Zion out the door. You see, I had a sister tell me one time that this one brother told her that some of y'all dark-skinned sisters are going to have to step back for a minute because we men have to do this, that, and the other. I can't remember all of the comments that he made, but he did tell her that some of you dark-skinned sisters are going to have to step back and wait for a moment. In other words, wait till he go out here and do his whoremongering. You see? And so we have created this stew of madness, this pattern of dysfunction that has caused us to err in our ways. We are diminishing our own bloodline because we believe, especially these brothers believe that they can lay with anybody and produce Israelite children, and that is not so. We covered that in a number of videos, and so I don't have to cover it again here, but I saw a picture of, I believe it was Jermaine Jackson. It was one of the Jacksons, right? And it was him with all of his family, everybody that sprung from his family, right? His children and their offspring and all this, that, and the other. He was the only chocolate face in the bunch. Everybody else looked white or mixed or just pretty much European. So what happens is, and I had a friend on Facebook too who had a group where he was talking about all this stuff for the black community, right? But he was married to a white woman. And all of his children were mixed, right? Most of his children look majority white. His son looked more mixed. And his daughters looked like they were white, like they didn't have any black in them, right? And then when he showed the extended picture of his family, his sons and his daughters then married white people too. So it looked like it was probably about 30 of them in the photo, right? He and his son were the darkest two things in the image. Everybody else was white. You see, so for us to think that that's carrying on our lineage by marrying outside of our people, that's pure foolishness. Because once you go back into the lineage of white people, you are not black. We have been sold a bill of goods to say that if you have one drop in you that you're black. That is a lie, people. That's basically their way of saying that we tainted their blood, you see, and they only accept pure white as white, right? They have told us that if you have one drop, by default you are black. That is not true. That is not even scientifically true, especially if that mixed child marries back into the white, then that generation after that is going to look pure white, you see. So this is how they've been able to take over cultures and say that they're Native Americans. I had this so-called blonde woman say that she was blonde hair, blue eyes, just white as she can be, right? And when we told her we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, because she said Happy Thanksgiving to us, and we told her we don't celebrate that, and we told her why. Because that's celebrating the slaughter of Native Americans, you know, when their land was stolen and taken over, right? This blonde hair, blue-eyed white woman said to us, well, I'm part Native American. She said, and these white people done took my land. When she said that, me and my husband, we looked at each other like, see, this is what goes on. Because of that ignorant one drop rule, you have people who have blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin claiming to be Native Americans. This is what happens when we buy into garbage that has been taught to us by the public food system. And this is what happens when we think that we can marry these other nations and that the children are going to be a reflection of our ancient ancestors. When they go in the other direction, we're just being whited out more and more. And it seems like we're okay with that. We are diminishing our own population. We're degrading our own selves. We're wiping and whiting our own selves out because we hate what we see when we look in the mirror. Our so-called black women hate being black. And our so-called black men are starting to bleach themselves too because they hate being black. When you have all of this hatred and all of this this ignorance that's going on amongst our people, where we're adversaries to our own race, our own people, we are just wiping ourselves out. We are masters of self-destruction when we choose to hate one another. It's time for our women and our men to get ourselves together. And speaking to the women directly, I will say, sisters, instead of us waiting for the men to decide to come aboard, let's just concentrate on us. Let's look at the person in the mirror. Let's look at the woman in the mirror and examine ourselves and see what it is we can fix about us. Because some of us do have problems, you see. Some of us have emotional problems that we kind of need to just push aside. Sometimes we as women, we can be too emotional to the point where we allow things to fester in our lives too much and it affects our children. Thus, we have children that fall by the wayside. And so in this new thought pattern, this new thought process, let's get ourselves together and just let the brothers watch as we rise to the point where the Most High wants us to be. Now, all they will have left to do is either follow suit in getting themselves together or continue to wallow in their madness, and let the Most High deal with them if they choose to do that. And with that, I'm going to say shalom, sisters. And I hope this message has been received to the point where we can understand the task at hand for us. We have children that are depending on us, okay? So if other people don't want to do it, you do it, okay? If other people don't want to get themselves together, you do it, sisters. With that, I'm going to say shalom.